So there was this video going viral on TikTok about a single dad who wanted to host a sleepover for his girl, his little girl, and her friends. And people were pretty upset about it because he basically was like, I'm sad having the realization that I'll never be able to do this. I just want us together to kind of have a conversation about that and why it can feel so painful to have that realization, and also why this particular dad is rubbing everybody the wrong way.
So like last year I was trying to throw my daughter like a slumber party, and once again, no woman lives in the household. It's just me and my daughter. And like I communicated with one of the mothers, like just to see if she can get the ball rolling, because she know a bunch of more mothers and whatnot. And then I asked, do she feel comfortable having, and as I was talking, she straight up interrupted me. No, I don't feel comfortable with that at all. And like I said, because I'm a man, and she was honest, and I respect her honesty. She was like, yes. And I'm like, that really did make me feel some type of way. So I expressed my, not even frustration. I was really sad. And I expressed that with other women. And they was like, well, Mark Anthony, you got to see where she coming from, and blah, 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 this and that and whatnot. And I do understand like where women coming from, but it just hurt my feelings to know that me, just as a man, I get labeled as that. And like I would never do nothing like that to I would never do nothing like that to kids, because like when I was growing up, like it was a situation. Like I try to make jokes about it and whatnot, and like long story short, it happened to me, but by a woman. And I just remember that feeling as I got older, and when I was younger, I would never do that to a child. And just know that like I couldn't even throw my daughter like a slumber party is because like they think I'ma do what somebody did to me, which was a woman, by the way. And like that shit made me damn near like cry for real, bro, because I'm just trying to like have my daughter, but as it's, that shit just made me really feel some type of way.
Okay, so let's just work on his video first, and then we'll go through the other videos I have for you because there's a lot of them. Okay, first, I appreciate him being honest and forthcoming about his own molestation/assault, because I know that must have been difficult as he was a child, and I think that's important. So first, we're gonna just digest that, okay? I understand that some people believe, and I'm going to need you to really listen to me when I say this, that people do believe, because this is how we were raised, that if you were touched as a child, you might do it to somebody else. But that's not exactly what happens. When you get harmed as a child, no matter the form it comes in, you tend to form, because you don't have the right tools, bad relationships with yourself and others, right? That's why we have to work on trauma. That's why we have to do right by our children. Now, if you have a child who really wants to go to a sleepover and a parent won't let them because of their own trauma, that's also going to impact the child. I was that child. My mother infamously would not let me sleep at my friends' houses. I was allowed at cousins' houses, certain cousins, but my friend even next door, like the bestie of 27 years who just came to visit me in Croatia this week, I was not allowed to sleep at her house until I was much older. To such a point that, for those who don't know the lore, when I was a child, I would call into Radio Disney to win skateboards and backpacks and all that stuff. I would like call to the radio stations when I was a kid. And one day I called into Radio Disney, and I needed to get my mother to say, because I told you so. And they said, what's something your mother would never allow you to do? And I said, sleep at a friend's house. And they said, okay, you need to be able to get your mother to say, because I told you so. And I was like, okay. So I was like, Mom, can you get on the line? Can you get on the radio for me? My mom goes, okay. So she gets on the line, and I go, Mom, can I sleep over so-and-so's house? And she was like, no. And I said, well, why not? And the host goes, yeah, why not? And my mom goes, because when I was a kid, my friend slept at her other friend's house, and the house burned down and they all died. And I don't want my daughter to die. Anyways, it did not make it to radio. They edited that story out so heavily. I think my mom's autistic. Like, I was like, that's the most autistic answer I've ever heard in my life. My mom, I tell you right now, she is odd ADHD. Okay. So, so I am that child, okay, who grew up with parents that everybody looked at like they were weird. And of course, the insult was, well, you think my dad's going to do something. Okay, I'm going to pair this up with why the trauma needs to be deconstructed for everybody, including the women that won't let a man watch their daughter. Let's talk about it. Same story. My bestie next door had a pool, and my parents wouldn't let me dress in a two-piece or in a swimsuit without shorts and a wet guard usually, or wash like a, usually I was wearing like a one piece and like a shirt or shorts. And my bestie was like, I'm sorry, I don't get what's happening. Like, you're around your brother and your brothers and your dad. Like, why do you have to cover up? And I said, because like, you know, men are that way. And my friend was like, that's weird. You guys are weird. And people were making me aware that like, oh, we're weird. And we are weird. Like, do we not understand that we are so traumatized, and yet telling our women to marry boys, and yet telling us we have good fathers? If my father's so good, why am I covering up? If my brothers are so safe, why am I covering up? And this is why I say to you, you can't on one side of your mouth tell women men are protectors, and on the other side say your father is a threat to you. Which one is it? Are men my protectors? Or are they also the predators? And then men get to grow up in a world where they get to be both. They get to actually believe they can be both. I'm your protector and I'm your assaulter. I get to be both, right? So this is the dilemma that I'm having with this bubble initially. Now, I want to say he obviously is having a very difficult time, and I'll show you in his own TikToks, understanding their perspective. I also think it's important that we understand that even though he's not understanding why, these women, though they're protecting their kids, also need to deconstruct gender. If you ask me, Brittany, would you let a man host a sleepover for your kids? By the way, please note that we're only thinking about girls getting targeted, which is why it was important for him to share his story. If he was targeted by a woman, then sending your girls to a sleepover with a woman is not any better. That's what his point was. And I agree with him. That ultimately, regardless of the gender of the adult taking care of your kid, I think both have the probability. Do I think men have more of the probability? Yes, because they're raised under patriarchy, but not because they're biologically men. Whatever that means. We need to deconstruct the word biological, but okay, right? So yes, I do agree that you should be, as a parent, cautious about who your kids stay with. I also think it's imperative as a community person, before you have children, you think about, do we have people who can watch our kids? So one of the reasons my partner and I decided not to have kids, one of the many reasons, was we don't have a village. We can't think of very many people we would let our kids sleep over. And if we can't trust our family or friends or our village with our kids, we're not bringing kids into that village. Sorry. Now, people are bringing kids into a village every day they don't even trust. And I think we should talk about it. Okay, now, he put out this video, a little lore on his life. Tell me the vibes you get from him, because I was kind of surprised but not surprised. Tell me what you think.
Answer to the question that everybody is asking me, and it is a long ass answer. So long answer. When me and my baby mother was like, we were separating, I was moving to Houston, she was going to stay in Louisiana. Then I'm like, you know what, let me take my daughter with me. And she was like, no, she needs to stay with me. I'm like, no, she let her go with me. Shit, like you had her, we were doing co-parents, and I'm like, just focus on yourself, focus on your career. I'm going to get me a better job. That's my plan. I'm like, let me be the full-time dad. And then she was like, no, and blah, blah, blah. And so as I'm moving to Houston, I got family in Louisiana. Keep that in mind. She don't got no family in Louisiana. The little family she do got stay in Mississippi. So as I'm living in Houston, Texas, I'm still like, hey, let me see my daughter. Let me get my daughter. Like she wasn't keeping my daughter from me, but I'm like, let her stay out here. Let her stay out here. Answer no every time. I don't know the court orders. I don't know what to do. I'm looking it up online. I really don't know who to talk to, because they got to deem an unfit mother anyway. So like 4-5 months go by as I'm living in Houston. My baby mama loses her job and whatnot. So I'm trying to help my baby mama pay rent. I paid her rent for about 2 to 3 months or something like that, because you know what, I got it. I'm living with my daddy in Houston, so I'm like, the extra money that I got from the side, here you go, my daughter's living with you. But I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. Let her come stay with me. Like, just give her to me. And she like I'm like, oh my God, who the hell can I talk to about this? So time goes by, she gets like a new job and whatnot. At this new job, she meet this nigga. I don't know this nigga. And then out of nowhere, as they're dating, he loses his job. And you know what? After he loses his job, he moves in with my baby. Oh, I went fucking ballistic. I went crazy. I'm like, why the fuck you got this nigga in a...
Pause. Notice anything interesting about his decor? Anything standing out to y'all? We got a Sailor Moon poster. We got a One Piece poster. We've got a trans inclusive flag shirt. Interesting. Interesting. And yet, he's not very deconstructed, is he? Like, you notice the language? He's got the shirts. He's got the anime. He's got all the stuff. But his language and the way he's approaching it, it's interesting. I find it fascinating where I'm like, this isn't a progressive man, but this must be the most progressive man in his bubble. He is probably the most progressive man in his bubble, but yet to me, he's not deconstructed enough. It's interesting.
Oh, and I don't know him, man. Give me my motherfucking daughter. I'm like, I don't know. I said, I don't give a fuck. He a nice guy or not. Give him.
Like the way he story tells, the way he talks about people, like it stands out to me so significant where I'm like, huh, like he's interesting and I can see why he's rubbing people the wrong way. And also the One Piece poster, you know, and the train shirt.
I'm like, bro, now I'm like, what the fuck do I need to do to get my daughter? Months going by. I'm like, God damn, like now my anxiety is going through the motherfucking roof. So months going by, she's still taking care of this bum.
Exactly, chat. Exactly. It's like 1 foot out, but he's still there. It's like he's still in the bubbles. Yeah, he's a normie leftist. I think so, Chad. I think he's like a normie leftist where he's like, oh, I'm pro-trans, I'm pro-gay, you know, One Piece, like all the good stuff, all the, you know, but at the same time, I'm still hearing like the sort of the way he's telling the story or the way that the vibe is, or I think it's so valid in so many ways that he as an individual feels his feelings are hurt because no sleepovers. And also I feel like the way he tells stories still sounds a little misogynistic-y. Like, do you hear it? Like, I'm like, oh, this is so interesting.
Ass dude. So back then when my daughter didn't have a cell phone, I called my baby mama to talk to my daughter. And I hear a snuffle in my baby mama voice like, I know that sound. So she gave the phone to my daughter and my daughter instantly said, Mama ran into a cabinet. Okay, mama ran into a cabinet. I said, put your mama on the phone. I said, that nigga putting his hands on you? Mark, not tonight. Ain't no Mark, not tonight. So I had to call my brother. Boy, that didn't go too good. I'm gonna fast forward through that because, oh my goodness. But once again, I'm like, why this nigga ain't in jail? And anyway. So now she called me up and like, Mark, we're moving to Oklahoma. Bitch, who moving to Oklahoma? Not my daughter. Once again, give me my goddamn daughter. Give me my daughter. Give me my daughter. But Mark, it's better opportunities. I'm gonna be making more money and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you wouldn't have to be worried about making more money if you weren't taking care of that. I'm like, you more worried about this nigga than your daughter. Give me my motherfucking child. And I can't tell you what else I was saying. So when my baby mother used to go to work.
What do we think about his storytelling theatrics? What do we think about the way he story tells? Isn't it interesting? Like the way, I don't know, it like raises a lot of red flags for me. It's interesting. Discord said this dude aside, men should be sad that they are seen as potential predators. They should be mad, but not at victims of misogyny, but at the patriarchy for creating the environment. Exactly, girl. Discord said, not all men like to think they are progressive, but then dismiss women and POC in their opinions. And I think that's what's blocking a lot of men from fully deconstructing 100%. 100%. Because listen, even though I think these women should also deconstruct gender, I also agree that they have a reason to be cautious. I knew a girly back in the day who every single generation of women in her family were raped or molested. Every single one. Guys, this recent podcast I put out about why do grown men love dating teenagers? I was doing the math for my grandma's wedding, and I always thought my grandma was married at 12, which is still horrible, but I find out she's married at 10, and I'm like, there is no age. Like, at least, they would say, oh, she's 12. Well, she has her period. She's 10. And I'm not saying she can't have her period at 10, but like, how young were you willing to go? If she was 6, would you have done it? You know what I'm saying? And like, my grandpa was 17. So a 10-year-old and a 17-year-old. And I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And then it's like this whole idea, but then like nobody is willing to have the conversation because they think of like, there's like a legacy part of it. And there's like, everybody loves, there's like, everyone thinks their story is so romantic. And I'm like, that's hard for you to realize. And I'm not saying, I'm saying we need to stay shocked. We need to still be appalled. We need to still be concerned. And we need to give family members a way to deconstruct away from this bubble. We need to give people a space to say, it happened to me and I'm working through it and I've come to have a relationship with it, but I don't want it to happen to my daughters or my sons, So I understand that from his perspective, right? He's thinking, well, I was molested by a woman or attacked by a woman. So even if I send my daughter to a woman's house, what does it mean that she won't be? Exactly. Great question. Right? I think regardless of the gender of the adult, you should be cautious.
Or she got this random ass nigga that I do not know watching my daughter.
Which is a deep concern. He should be concerned about that. Also kind of interesting that we do send our kids to daycares and we do hire babysitters. It's interesting that growing up, Dr. Laura used to do this. She used to always say that women shouldn't date if they have kids. But obviously there are great situations where men do step up and women do step up and they become step parents. But like this fear of like, oh, this strange man wants to be with me because I have a kid is a possibility. Or the fact that I'm dating and they have to wait to meet my kids. But like we send our kids every day to hang out with strangers at schools, in parks. Like, I don't know why we're not thinking about it when we know that like there's just as much of a chance. Like, I don't know why we think, and I get it because like if you're dating, if I had a kid and I was single and I was dating people, I probably wouldn't have that kid meet them for a while, if at all, right? And yet I send my kid every day to school. You know what I mean? It's just interesting. Now, obviously the issue isn't that there's a man in the picture. The issue is that he doesn't trust his baby mama. He doesn't think she has the wisdom or discernment. And he's worried that she chose a scary man to be around his daughter. Right? Like, that is a concern. And she's threatening to move the daughter away, which is, I'm sure, a concern. Right? Like, all of this is like a concern. Right? Discourse said, to be fair, daycare, at least like there's a background checks and training required. Sure. But then how many stories do we hear about daycare employees abusing babies or children? So like, yes, the background check helps somewhat. And I agree with you, but I also don't like, you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, okay, how about this? Every time you have a kid, you have to understand that you force that kid into existence in which they could be murdered, killed, raped, imprisoned. Like, isn't that interesting? We have babies knowing we live in a homophobic, transphobic, racist world. Isn't that amazing? Like, we must really think highly of the universe, or we're just really are those biological creatures that are looking to procreate, and it's a little bit of somewhere in the middle, right? Like, I think in many ways you can prepare to have kids as much as possible, right? But also, you're still signing that kid up. You cannot guarantee that your child will not be harmed in the universe. As a parent, you have to accept your child might be harmed, which is why parents become very paranoid and don't ever let sleepovers happen, which I'm not against, but I think you should think about it, right? And I think we should think about that too. Chet says, yeah, a lot of parents have no choice but to. You mean have kids? Well, that's why I believe in contraceptives, abortions, and sex education. And I also believe we should obviously prepare people for childhood, right? Like, we have to think about it. And I'm not anti-having babies. Obviously, I'm just saying philosophically, understand what you're signing up your kid for. And that you have to be adult enough to handle that burden. I think what happens is our parents have us. They see us go through trauma. I say this as a person who can't talk to her parents about her traumas. They don't know how to handle it. Oh, Chet said send them to daycare, not have kids. LOL. Oh. Yeah, and I'm not saying daycare is bad. I was a professional nanny. I think that was great. I think having a really good relationship with a nanny is a great thing. I think having a good relationship with a daycare is a really good thing, right? I think a good daycare is a great daycare. You know, like I think a good nanny is a great nanny, right? I just wish we as a society really cared about children and cared about families. That's why conservatives are so obnoxious to me, because they obviously don't care. Otherwise, they'd make sure that the standard for daycare was better and the standard for nannying was better. You know, it's just one of those things, you know? Okay, let's finish out this video.
She's at work. How the fuck you think I feel? So now towards my daughter's school year, I think she was like in the first grade. She was in the first grade. Towards her school year, I get a call late at night saying, Daddy, come help me. I hear my baby mama in the background yelling and screaming. That's all I'ma say. I live in Houston, Texas. They lived in Oklahoma, Lawton, Oklahoma. I think that's a 7-hour drive. And that morning, I was supposed to go get a fucking new tire. I had a nail in my tire. And so now I'm on the phone with the police as I'm driving down the road with a nail in my tire at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm on the phone with Lawton, Oklahoma police. And they was like, yes, sir. We trying to make sure your daughter's safe. We trying to make sure your baby mother's safe. He's locked in the house with a gun and shit like that. I said, well,
I did not get this far into the story.
tell you what I told the police, but I told the police what I was going to do when I get down there. They were like, sir, it's best that you don't engage because we don't know if he's armed or not and blah, blah, blah. I said, I don't give a damn if he's armed or not. I'm about to come down there and get my daughter. Sir, for your safety, we're going to ask you not to get involved. So I didn't make it there until probably 7 in the fucking morning. The police got him. He's arrested and whatnot. And me and my baby mama had to sit down and have a long ass talk of why you don't fucking bring men around my motherfucking child that I don't know. And that was the day I took my daughter and she started living with me. When I tell you this man fucked my baby mama up, and I'm just glad my daughter wasn't the other type of abuse. That's all I'm gonna say. Because if that was, jail wasn't gonna be able to keep me off that nigga at all. At all. So now, fast forward, my daughter is living with me. And she did her second grade year. Like, I'm fast forwarding to a whole year. Life is great and whatnot. She communicates with her mother and all everything is great until it's about the time to start her third grade year. My baby mother came to Houston saying, oh, I want to take Olivia to the beach and stuff like that. I'm like, no, you can't take her to the beach. Mark, this is not what we discussed. I said, bitch, you not leaving this house.
Okay, let's talk about some stuff. One, horrific. Terrified for that little girl, terrified for that woman, terrified for everybody. Okay? Terrified. Just awful. Okay. Discord. His language is very possessive. My baby mama, my daughter. Toxic masculinity. A possessive language used to show ownership of, okay, to feel entitled to. Okay. Calling her a bitch. Okay. In this particular situation, it's Discord or YouTube chat. It's a serious conversation, but he's being a little silly about the way he's telling the story. Almost like he's entertaining us instead of sharing his life story. It feels like a video where he's entertaining us. And I'm like, why am I being entertained about this tragedy? Okay. Chad says this is his second time calling her a bitch. Noted. Okay, noted. Okay. So again, there's like a lot in the way that he talks that makes me think like, okay, not deconstructed, but liberal. I'm going to say liberal. Okay. Now, the problem with liberal men is they tend to think he's one of the good ones. And if he thinks he's one of the good ones, then he's not going to deconstruct, because when men deconstruct, they don't think they're one of the good ones. Because the implication of being one of the good ones is that all of the other ones suck ass. So explain to me how men want to go around bragging about being one of the good ones as if to imply 90% of men suck ass, right? So he's got that feeling to him. I'm one of the good ones. Look at the way I'm a hero. Look at the way I'm one of the good ones. Which makes him not great or not safe to be around, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, discourse that I mean, if it can, a previous partner, etc., has reported them to be unsafe, even if the police hasn't had the evidence to convict. Is that because Chet says like this is his story to turning this and not involving other people? Yeah, my theory is like, I don't know. You guys are talking about, because here's my theory. I think first we know a majority of pregnancies are happen with the wrong people and unplanned. So my theory is they were in a toxic-ish relationship, had a baby. It didn't work out. Okay. For context, his baby mama is white. Okay, could mean something, could not mean something, could not mean something, could mean something, could not mean something. He brings it up in another video. I haven't heard him say it in this one yet, right? I don't know. Don't let Dr. Umar hear that. Dr. Umar is like, okay. So I think the context might matter. Maybe not. Okay. He's an anime boy and he's liberal enough to be pro-trans. So there might have been a situation in which this relationship on the outside was like quite liberal, quite something, quite like he probably thought he probably cosplays. He probably goes to Comic-Con. Do you know what I mean? He may be one of those guys. The issue with anime and the issue with liberal men who say they're inclusive is they also hold on to a lot of misogyny. A lot. And so that's what I think is happening here, but he doesn't know it yet, which is why moms in the community might hear him say, I want to host a sleepover. And they might be like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't let him host a sleepover based off his TikTok alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I looked at this man's TikTok page, I'd be like, no. You cannot watch my kids. It doesn't matter if they're boys or girls. You're not hosting a sleepover. You feel like the kind of dad who's going to monologue to the kids and make them listen to your rants. Do you know what I'm saying? So, okay.
With my daughter. And so I grabbed her suitcase and she did that white people shit. Let go. He's in. I said, bitch, we in Houston. That shit ain't finna work. All that shit. These neighbors know me. They never seen a white.
Yeah, see, like, you know what I mean? Like, the way he's talking is not going to win moms over. It's just not going to win moms over. Like,
woman over here. You in the hood. Ain't nobody coming over here. So stop all that fake ass screaming. My daughter crying. She pretending to cry. And then I'm like, God damn. I'm like, hey, take her to the beach. And they were going to Alabama. I'm like, take her to the beach and bring her the fuck back. Y'all know what this bitch did. They went to the beach and then turned around and went back to Oklahoma.
You know what I mean? He is, for a guy wearing a trans flag, you're saying bitch a lot. For a guy wearing an inclusive shirt, you're saying bitch. Does he know what that shirt means? Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how. He's still in his pain. Now, if he went to therapy, if he deconstructed, if he did some philosophical work, we could talk about it. Did he go to therapy for his own molestation? Did he go to therapy for his divorce or for his separation? Did he go to therapy? Did he get himself the work he needed to stop calling this woman a bitch on the internet? Because there's too much venom behind the word, you know?
Behind my back. So a couple months go by. My daughter.
And I do understand the anger he could feel, which is why we talk about it in therapy. I understand the anger you feel, which is why I recommend that having children with people you really don't trust and or aren't ready to have children with. Okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I understand why you're hearing this and being like, you would be angry too. First, I'm not at that stage in my life. Second of all, okay, we are all, our life is a reflection of what we've put into it, period. That's why we have to heal. You are not responsible for when you were a victim, but you are responsible for not making more victims. And with the way he's talking, he will make a new victim. I don't know what form it's going to come in. I don't know how it's going to be influenced, but it might be a self-hating woman. It might be a daughter who hates women because he's taught her that women suck. It might be a daughter that doesn't feel like she has a place in the universe because he brought her into it when they weren't prepared. I don't know what it's going to be. Okay? But like, okay, I understand he's angry. Talk to a therapist about it. Because right now, someone's father is ranting on the internet. Somebody take your dad's phone away. You know what I'm saying? If this was my dad, I'd be like, take that off the internet, you loser. No offense. Thank you for doing your best, but like, God damn it, this is embarrassing. Take this off the internet.
do got a phone, and I'm like, I'm trying to find time to go get my daughter back from her, because I try to do the courthouses and shit and stuff like that, and it is kidnapping when you go across state lines. But I try to get in touch with the law in Oklahoma police, and it's nothing they can do, because it ain't kidnapping if she's in Oklahoma with her mama, and it's nothing Tessa can do if she's in Oklahoma. So now I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And out of nowhere, everything happened for a reason. I get a call from a law in Oklahoma number.
Chat, Discord said, I wish I could take my dad's phone off him. Now he's 70. Listen, and I know we really can't take our phones away from our parents, but the sentiment is, bro, get off the internet. You know what I mean? Like, stop. You're being so... yeah, Chat says he's like a teenager. He is like a kid. He's being a kid. I know he feels grown. I know he's going through a lot. I think like he feels like he saw something really horrible. His baby mama got beat up, like all that stuff. But like, this is an elder in the community. This isn't what being an elder should look like. This is what I'm saying to you. Let's use real people's lives to learn about our own philosophy through pop culture. I look at this man and say, okay, how do I not become this? I want to be an elder in the community. This is not what a responsible elder in the community posts. And by the way, it gets worse because he picked a fight with a bunch of women on TikTok, a lot of whom were black. And he went off on all of them, probably because he was triggered and harbors anger towards women because of what he went through. And so my issue with him, again, is not that he wasn't a victim when he was a child, and not that he didn't go through something horrendous with this thing, and now that he doesn't have the responsibility to take care of his kid, but like, this is still not the end of the journey. And so do we have the ability and the wisdom to look at ourselves and say, this isn't who we want to be? Does he have the ability to look at himself and say, okay, I have a lot more to do?
At work. And me, I don't know what made me say this. I said, damn, somebody from Long, Oklahoma called me. Let me find out it's CPS or something. I swear to God, I said that. I answered the phone. It was CPS. Now, I'm not going to tell you everything, but let me just say the school had to contact CPS, and CPS contacted me, and CPS took my daughter from her mother and gave her to me. You know why? Okay. Once again, I have to drive all the way from Houston, Texas to go.
Exactly, chat. Exactly. The story is meant to validate him being safe, but he doesn't seem aware of how this is coming across. Exactly. So he's trying to convince us he is safe to host sleepovers and to share his life and stuff, but this is how he's coming across, which isn't helping.
Get my daughter from CPS, and they had to release her into the custody of one of my baby mother friends. And when I tell you everything that her friend was telling me about what once again, and the one incident that stood out to me that really damn near made me like go off when I was out there, but I had to keep my...
He's also using violent rhetoric, which is very toxic masculinity raised under patriarchy. He's he's ironically like a victim to this. So ironically, him being like, if I was in the room, if I was in there, he's basically saying I would be violent. That's patriarchy convincing him as a man. Your show of protection is to be violent towards other people, which is ironic that he wants to beat up the man who beat up his baby mama. Nobody should be beating up anybody. That's kind of the point, right? It's not direct self-defense. Now you're just punishing somebody. So now you're teaching your daughter that my father is a scary person who wants to hurt people. That's the problem. I don't want a scary father who's going to hurt people. I'm not Baki. Anime joke. Thank you.
Composure in front of the police. She had my daughter come in the house at fucking 9 o'clock. She told my daughter to come back at 6. What type of fucking curfew you giving a second grader telling them they need to be back? Why the fuck you ain't watching my daughter? Second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, on her way to sixth grade.
Wow.
I still got my daughter. And I don't let my daughter out of my sight, because I don't want my daughter to experience what her mother experienced and what she already previously experienced and what I also experienced. So my whole point of saying this, if I can't trust her mother, I'm definitely not just going to be open to trust another woman or another man. I have to build up that rapport with those people in order to trust my daughter with them. I never said I don't understand or I'm confused or why the mothers won't let their daughter sleep over. I said I fully understand that. I'm not asking the mothers to trust me at all. I'm asking to earn their trust. That's why I went to PTO meetings. That's why I did the carpool. That's why I'm very involved with the school. That's why I volunteer at this school. I knew these mothers for from second through fifth grade. So once again, I understand their hesitation with a man, but at the same time, everybody's saying, "Oh, what are women at in their life? What are women at in their life?" And I'm pointing it out. It don't matter who it can be. If you're not going to trust anybody, don't trust no one. And shout out to all the mothers that want to protect their child and the safety of their child. That's why I was trying to do the same thing too. That's why I felt more comfortable hosting and knowing what happened in the past. But I completely understand why they don't trust me. And with that, that's why I was trying to earn the mother's trust. And like, that's pretty much it. I just hope everybody see where I'm coming from now. Like, I just try to keep my daughter close
let's
to
talk
me.
about it.
I don't like letting my daughter out of my sight at all.
Okay, let's talk about it. So the reason I wanted to cover this, and I have more videos to show you, is how do we get men in this position to actually get better? Because, okay, I, in good faith, see all of the ways he is trying to be better. I appreciate that he is involved. I appreciate that he did right by his daughter. I appreciate the fact that he is culturally educating her on anime. Love it, king. I love the involvement he has with the school. I like the validation of the mothers. I love all of that. Okay. How do we get him to understand the video you posted was bad? The anger in your voice needs to be handled in therapy. Using bitch to refer to your baby mama is bad. Okay. We need to have conversations about the deconstruction of your language and why you're using it. I am assuming he probably never went to therapy for stuff. Or maybe he did, but how do we get people like him who seemingly, you know, this is like a best case scenario in some ways for people who are like coming from a difficult to like a better, you know, he's got a trans inclusive shirt on. I'm going to animate, you know what I'm going to be like, okay, people are fucked up, but this is a good fucked up possibility, right? Like this is the best of the fucked up who could like have the greatest potential for better. Am I being too optimistic? I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking men's support groups, therapy for childhood trauma, divorce therapy and support. Okay, I'm thinking continuing to earn the trust of the community / maybe hosting sleepovers where multiple parents are involved. So instead of, you know, maybe it's at one person's house, but the parents also sleep over. So maybe like 4 or 5 of the parents volunteer to host and they also all sleep over. So it's like a group of adults, a group of kids. Something like this. Yes. So it's not just one parent or 2 parents, but it's like a group of parents to hold each other accountable. I'm thinking camping trips in a local area versus a sleepover at someone's house, right? Something like that where the tents are zipped up and the kids are, you know, we also know like it doesn't just stop at adults and children. We know children also pick, you know, they target other children. So it's not just, you know, parents. We don't need to just protect children from parents. We need to protect kids from other kids. We know this, right? So a lot of this is much deeper than we think it is. But when I saw his initial videos, I didn't see this full video by myself, but I get a part of me wants to be like, okay, why don't we okay, what could we do to help this person? You know? Now, let me see. The comment sections are pretty much like, let me see. The comment sections are pretty much like, you know, if you don't care that he's a nice guy, why would you think people would think differently about you? You know, a whole lot going on, reverse psychology. As someone raised by a single father, I was able to have sleepovers with my friends when we got older, like 11 plus. Why still explaining? Are we still explaining? There's like, it's definitely like a mixed bag, but let me show you why. I'm going to show you his other videos. And I'm also going to show you a video from other content creators. So first, let me show you those because I want you to see how people reacted. I also think, I don't know what his philosophical beliefs are. In his storytelling, I didn't hear language being used. Do you know what? I had a conspiracy theory that he doesn't know what he's wearing. I was like, what if he's wearing that shirt, but he doesn't know what it means? Because you notice that none of his language mentioned inclusive language. Like, why is he wearing that shirt and where did he get it from? Does he know what it means? Do you know what I mean? But my podcast coming up this week actually talks about this, how parents of trans kids are actually rape apologists. I have a whole video about this. Being a supportive parent to a trans kid does not make you less of a rape apologist. It's not a generalization. It's about a celebrity. I have a whole video coming out about a celebrity because I think the narrative is I'm pro-trans, so I can't be XYZ. But being pro-trans isn't enough. Caitlyn Jenner exists, right? Like Blair White exists. You know what I mean? Like you can be gay and trans and you know what I mean? Like gay and trans people voted for Trump. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay. Now, here are some people who had commentary about him. I usually don't like this guy's takes, just for the record.
You don't see that video where that single dad was like, he wanted to throw his daughter a slumber party, but none of the other parents were comfortable with it, and like it made him sad? Tell me why he is getting dragged for that. It makes no sense. Like people look for any reason to be mad at people. Literally in the video, he was like, yeah, I understand where they're coming from, but it just makes me sad. It hurts. And people are completely trying to like dissect this man's life. Here's the thing, okay, like if he was making the video like, oh yeah, what's wrong with them? Like how could they do that? Blah, 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 blah. I would understand the uproar. Like people are like, oh, like you're making it all about you. You're not thinking about them, da, da, da. Like mind you, it's his account, it's his TikTok account. If it makes him sad, I feel like he has the right to say, hey, this makes me sad as a parent. He can't do that for his daughter, you know? And basically he ended up mentioning that he himself, when he was growing up, like he was touched by like a woman or whatever. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't necessarily articulated the best in context, but basically, to me at least, it sounded like his point was he was even more sad because of the element that he couldn't do this thing that he wanted to do for his daughter because they were afraid of happening to like their daughters, what happened to him growing up. Like, you know, there's kind of like an irony there. And like, I could see how people like don't really care about that, but to like go out of your way to like bash this man when like, it's not like he was trying to force the sleepover to happen. He was just like, man, it made me sad. Like, it's crazy that nobody can say anything on here. Things I noticed a long time ago that people could not say anything on here, especially when it's like at all gender related, like remotely close to gender related. Some people.
Yeah, I don't know if this kid is just too young. He looks young, right? I don't like his takes. It feels very shallow. Like, I love that he's wearing earrings, and sometimes he has really cool, like, very femme earrings. It feels, again, like performative liberal. It just gives performative liberal.
People trying to pounce on it and make it worse. Like say I got into a relationship with someone and then like broke up a few months from now, right? I could make a video and be like, oh, you know, I broke up with, you know, this person I was dating. I'm sad about it. It was super amicable. I wish them the best, you know, like we're still on good terms, but you know, it sucks. We broke up. And there would be women in the comments being like, oh my gosh, your loss. Oh my, she's going to be doing so much better now. Da, 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 da.
P.S. Guys, a lot of comments are bots. I know people don't understand it, but I promise you, I went down like a deep dive because I'm going to cover 2 stories tomorrow. And one of the stories I'm going to cover is most of the responses were coming from AI bots. I know it sounds crazy, but even for my own videos, I'm like, is this a real person? Like, I assume at this point, it's not a real person unless they're really showing up in a part of the community. You know what I mean? And it's just a part of the era we're in. It is what it is. But also ask yourself this question. Am I posting comments that sound like bot comments?
Oh, you're a loser anyway, blah, 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 blah. Like just looking for things like that. And I'm sure it definitely happens with the genders reversed too. Like I'm just giving an example. Everything just has to be a fight nowadays. Okay, now I feel like some people might be like, oh, but Bryce, you and your stitching video. Look, I feel like personally, I never stitch a video to argue unless there is something genuinely problematic there. I'm not going to take like a regular cordial post or particularly when people are saying they're sad over something. I'm not going to do that unless they literally like did something egregious that they're not acknowledged. Like for instance, if someone.
Sure, I think that's fine, but I think he's probably missing the point that people also saw his other videos. And even when I initially saw his video, I was like, that's the problem when I've done this myself, okay? And I was wrong. This is hard to explain to people. When I have expressed my own pain, I didn't always know how to do it without it coming at the expense of somebody else. And I was right to be called out by people. I have done this multiple times. I will probably do it in the future. It is a skill being able to talk about your pain without it coming at the expense of somebody else. And he just didn't do it well. And I've done it incorrectly as well. And I've taken down a lot of those. Actually, I think that's one of the things that I am infamous for is like, I hate bad takes, staying up that like are not good learning lessons. So I've taken down a lot of my videos that aren't like, you can't learn from them in a sense. Like I've kept up a lot of my old videos, but That's what I'm trying to explain to people, that like, yes, you're sad and that's so valid, but your post is his post did come at the expense of those mothers in that context, in the way that he said it. And that's a learning lesson. Now, is he going to learn the lesson?
I was like, oh man, like I was walking my partner like a dog, but then they left and I'm so sad about it. Like that's something, because you're actually like putting negativity out. But if someone's just like, oh man, lost a baddie or lost this person I was dating, I'm not going to like get in there and then make up a story as to like why they're horrible. But like, I don't know, we're just in a really weird place on this.
Okay, next. Oop, it's muted.
Single father. So, mugshot Mark Anthony, single father and TikToker, is saddened at the fact that women would not allow their daughters to come to his house for a sleepover with his daughter. Mugshot Mark, your feelings are irrelevant here. Mugshot Mark, you were a victim of SA yourself as a child, so I'm actually quite confused at the fact that you would even want to host a sleepover with all females. You know personally that predators are not just men. Predators can be men, women, or even other children. And although you may be a stand-up guy, Mugshot Mark, most parents, myself included, are unwilling to roll the dice with the safety of their little girls. I've been married for almost 20 years. My daughter just turned 17 and she has never been to a slumber party. Our daughter is doing just fine, Mugshot Mark, and I'm sure your daughter will be just fine as well without that experience. A father's duty is to protect his children from dangers seen and unseen, and for that very reason, slumber parties are an automatic no in my household. Like, repost and leave your thoughts in the comments.
Okay, so he's obviously like a TikToker, right? Now you might be thinking, where's that mugshot from? Don't worry, Mark is going to tell us.
Know that he have a domestic violence.
So it says, when I'm trying to explain why I got arrested.
Don't y'all know that he have a domestic violence charge, false imprisonment, and child endangerment? Me and my baby mama was having an argument, and then she tried to hit me, and I grabbed her arm to refrain her from hitting me. And like, since she white, she had and that's your fucking problem right there. Dating them goddamn white women. You couldn't find no black woman? I was trying to tell you about how I got all the charges and stuff right now. We don't care about that. So do y'all want to hear about the child endangerment charge or talk about me dating a white woman? What the fuck? A black woman would have never did that. How the fuck did we get here?
Okay, so a few things. Chat says, does that mean you don't trust any families? That's a great question, chat. This is what my question is. Because I always ask this to my parents, because they did let me sleep at my cousin's house and my grandparents' house. And I was like, well, if you trust my grandparents and my cousins, why don't you trust my friends next door? Now, eventually they did when we got older. But at the end of the day, this narrative that family isn't going to target you obviously wasn't true. Because in my own family, my grandma was married at 10. So like, why are we sitting around? My aunties were married at 16. Why are we pretending? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? But see, I'm not allowed to say anything bad about my grandparents. Like my mom would say, my dad and mom would say, if you like gay people get married, pedophilia will be normalized. I was like, grandma was married as a kid. She goes, that doesn't count. That was culture. So it's culture when y'all marry kids, and it's just gayness when what's the math? Right? Like I know this is a struggle, and this is really, really hard to talk about because, my grandparents are a legacy in the family, and the straight agenda, that is the straight agenda. My grandparents are like legends, and they were very sweet people, but I really wish we could talk about it sometimes. So I'm like, is this not weird? Do you know what I mean? Like, can we not talk about this? Because it feels like this was really, really bad, like really bad. And we're not talking about it. Okay. Now, so he makes makes a joke, right? About the domestic situation. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I had a video, this one. Okay. Okay. Let me pull up this one for you.
I pled guilty to a simple battery. It got dropped down to a simple battery because no child was in danger. My white baby mother was acting belligerent and like that got the police called on me. I didn't do nothing wrong. And a white police officer came up. And I know y'all thinking, Mark, you did that to yourself dating a white woman. Yes, I did do that to myself. But that's how the child endangerment came in place because I was the one arrested. But it got dropped down to a simple battery. You see that? And as a black man, I never once got on this platform and disrespected black women. You still haven't found the video of me disrespecting a black woman.
Okay, I want to see that. I will go through because maybe I misunderstood. There was a lot of seemingly video responses, but let me see.
I'm giving every black woman I see a rose. You're welcome. You can pick any color you want.
Get that pink one right there.
All right, there you go. Y'all have a nice day.
And also, I do think that's really fucked up, by the way. If we're out here saying like, I get like that. I do think that's really needs to be deconstructed. It's not my place to speak on. So you guys can figure that out. But like the whole like, oh, you married a white woman, this is what you get. Well, that's not good karma. That's not a good thought. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not a good thought to say that like that's victim blaming in a sense. Like, oh, because racist systems exist and white women cry white tears, you deserve to be in trouble because you married or were with a white woman. Like, that's really bad, right? Like, you guys can handle that, but like, that's bad.
Thank you.
I go around giving black women flowers because they deserve their flowers every day that they walk this earth. If a black woman don't know she deserves flowers, guess what? I'm going to give her one. Ask about me in the streets. Don't be mad because you ain't getting no flowers, bitch. And then I went and listened.
Ooh, but then he says bitch like that. I don't know. Chad says, what if he's bisexual or gay and he feels like he can use it? Listen, even I've been very careful about when I use the word bitch because sometimes I'm like, ooh, that was bad. Because if he is gay or queer and using the word, well, gay or bi and using the word bitch as like that way, he's still using it incorrectly in a way that perpetuates misogyny. So
Listen to your music. You are promoting violence as a black woman. You're handing out guns instead of flowers, ma'am.
Switch the flow a little. Ain't think I could rap, so I step back. Now I'm on this shit like that. Now watch me set it off like Boosie. Or I can sing to you like Tootsie. Don't fuck
With that ugly ass dress on you was wearing, like it looked like you
didn't you just say you've never been mean to black women? What is this? Wait.
this earth. If a black woman don't know she deserves flowers on this platform and disrespect, Mark, you did that to yourself. I do that to myself. As a black man, I never once got on this platform and disrespected black women.
switch the flow. See, or I can sing.
With that ugly ass dress on you was wearing, like
Pourquoi? It's not like that Cardi meme. What? You just did it.
it looked like you just made that dress that morning. And how much of your track was showing Usain Bolt could have raced on that motherfucker. But I don't know why I'm arguing with a woman that's promoted violence with guns and can't even pass a drug test. I can pass.
Hey! Whoa! See? He's in the same 1 minute and 34 seconds. This man. Whoa! Yeah, this is okay. So how do we? Oh man, there's so much that needs to happen now. That's what I'm saying. What am I supposed to do with this? Human's gonna what? Human. I can't in the same video. Yeah, Chad said this is one of the good ones. This is a man who believes I'm one of the good ones. This is exactly why liberal men are scary because they wear the trans shirts. They'll say the anime. They'll be cool, and then boom. Damn.
Pass a drug test. Can you?
Yo. Oh. Damn. Okay, so then here we go. It says talking down on me so women can like y'all.
Y'all weird ass, ogre built ass, Teletubby chest ass, weird ass niggas gotta use my name to get clout so women can talk to y'all. This the first time women in y'all life, y'all gotta use me to get women to talk to y'all. Y'all gotta talk down on me and to get women to talk to y'all. Y'all are fucking weird. Y'all can't go out in the real world cause y'all fucking ugly. Y'all do all this, y'all ugly. That's why. Weird ass looking ass niggas. Let me.
My bro, just a reminder, this is the dad that wants to host a sleepover with your kids at his house. This is the dad who wants to do carpool and host sleepovers with your kids.
Let me find something I can talk down on a man about and just blow it all out of proportion to make me look like a good guy and make him look weird and have all the women say nice stuff about me because women would never talk to me in real life. Bitch ass niggas.
Bro, do you know what I mean? Like, this is the men who are like, women never understand how hard our life is. My bro, you know? Oof. Okay, what do you guys think about this? Chat said, misogynistic as fuck, but he's safe with a battery charge. Okay, what do we think about the implications? We got to talk about it. White woman, black man, white cop. Do we think that he deserved those charges? Do we think that it was probably a racist profiling? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? I wouldn't be surprised, but you know, if he got racially profiled and they put a charge on him, I mean, the fact that they lessened the charge but didn't just eradicate it, it sounds like, I definitely believe the system's racist enough to have targeted him falsely. I also think he's misogynistic enough to talk bad about women, but I don't know that he would touch a woman that way, right? So I can't trust the police in this situation, or I don't trust the system, right? But I'm not sure. I'm open to that being a possibility that he never even deserved the charge to begin with. But I think separate from that, I still think his sense of character is not my favorite. But you know, again, for me, what's so interesting is that he seems to be, you know, I almost feel like this is the kind of person that we should want to help, but I don't know if we can help him until he realizes, like, you're not coming off the best. Like, this is showing your character more than you know, and it's not the greatest. Right? Discord said it sounds like he was racially profiled to me. Yeah, it sounds like more than, like, probably, right? It's good. I feel like it does sound like that, you know? So we'll have to consider that. Chess says, I hope his child never hears the way he talks about women. Well, he probably talks about women like that in front of her. To be honest, she's going to have to go to therapy. We all got to go to therapy, though. That's the thing. At the end of the day, I hate to say it, but this is a lot of guys who think they're the good ones, right? That's why I say fear the liberal man. That's why I say look at Destiny. Destiny was the guy who literally went around saying, like, I care about women. Like, I'm always trying to think about women. And then we find out he's recording people and sharing their videos, or we find out that he's targeting people, or we find out that he's, you know what I mean? It's like these men who think they're the good ones, that they're liberals. I really care about women. I don't know, dude. I got to see it in your actions. I got to see it generally, you know? It's like the men who I've met so many, I can't even think of it, but like, think of, Ned, you know, Ned? Who's like, did you see the clip of Ned saying he's a 10, but he's married? Did you see the clip of Ned? Like, think about Ned. Think about the women that are like, oh, Ned's such a good guy. Ned had a year-long plus affair with an employee. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, next video. 97% of the internet treating me like I'm R. Kelly.
I
usually don't do this, but
last year I was
that single dad that's upset.
So I didn't came across this man.
So I just seen a video.
Mark Anthony came on the internet.
So I want to say two things. One,
I just seen over. It just hurt.
Y'all saw the video of the same.
That single dad that's
To the man that came to the internet. When I was in high school,
It just hurt my feelings.
There's a single dad right.
What's up, y'all? No, fuck that. Look, boo, when I pop up on your For You page, like, what's the first thing y'all think of? Because when I be seeing people...
So I'm sitting here talking to my husband about the guy who is upset that these mothers, or supposedly single mothers, won't allow him to host a slumber party at his house.
So I just seen a video.
Bro really stated that he was sad and depressed when he found out from another parent why it would not be acceptable to have a all-girl slumber party at his house.
Babe, I've been really thinking about.
People are still trying to convince me that whole situation where that guy wanted the kids to stay over and he was acting like he was upset after the fact, a whole year later coming on here talking about, I'd rather have a slumber party.
I get it. Single father and stuff. You want to have sleepover for your dog.
one thing about y'all know how to get on this app and be mean and cruel as hell. That man.
Wait, there's more.
Situation where the dad came on here saying it hurt his...
I just seen
You know, men are always going to matter.
where women coming from, but it's like
Tiga. I don't care how old he are, whatever.
You also see that video where that single dad was like he wanted to throw his daughter a slumber party, but
So I just seen a video of
But he's also showing ones that kind of supported him, which is kind of funny.
that single dad who has a daughter.
There's a single dad
No woman lives in the household. It's just me and my daughter.
Nights with you.
Last year, I was
Let's say
I'm gonna get copyrighted.
given those.
Okay, you guys get the point. There's a lot of people making videos about him, and I think he likes it. I think he likes it a bit. I think he thinks he's pretty cool. I think he thinks he's a kind of a celebrity, a little bit, you know?
What they do?
Okay, I'm gonna show you this. So Discord said part of me wonders if one of the reasons he's unaware of how he's coming off is because it's common to roast each other for sport in the Black community without it necessarily meaning what you say, although he kind of sounds like he meant it. Yeah, I think that's the problem is I don't understand his values. I don't understand his belief systems. I don't understand his politics. I don't understand his religion. Like, I don't understand anything about him. I don't know his thoughts about anything. I don't know if he's vegan. I don't know if he's a Democrat. Like, I don't know anything about him. All I know about him is that he reacts. He's sort of like trying to be an entertainer, I think. Like you know what I mean? Like he's not kind of like, he's not talking, like he's not even referencing an anime story. Like, I feel like I'm Naruto fighting a village for my daughter. Like, he's not giving me anything. Like, what is your reason? What is your why? Like, what is your motivation? So then there's this, women on the internet after I shared my trauma. Okay, but that's because you shared your trauma in a context of trying to justify a situation without understanding it. It's valid. It's usually pretty common. And I've actually done it myself, where again, when we share our traumas, we have to remember to use it as a way for people to understand us. But sometimes it can look like making an excuse. So it's, you know, what voice was that, Brittany? Who knows, guys? Who knows? Who knows? The point is that I want to be empathetic to his childhood trauma. I also want to say, if he was my brother, I'd say, hey, take all those videos down, fuckface. I love you. You look stupid on the internet. You are not doing yourself any favors, and I love you so much. Take them down. And he'd say, why? And I'd say, because you're making it look like you don't care. You're making it look like you're not listening to people. And I want people, you know, take it down. And I want to send you to a support group. Like, if he was my brother, I'd just be like, I love you. You look immature. You look like you don't look serious. You know, this could have been something beautiful, you know, but you just made it silly. Like, you made it silly. And I want you to not be silly on the internet. You know, I love you. Take it down. But he keeps going.
Seen over 50 think pieces about me in this sleepover shit. But this is the worst one that I've seen.
Would be okay with letting her daughter sleep over, and she told him no, she didn't feel comfortable with that. He became very easily offended by it.
I wasn't offended.
But then once he said that he had been molested by a woman prior to that, I automatically saw red flags.
Is this AI? She's got 42 likes. Is this AI? Chicago, single dad. Is this a real person?
What the what?
Well, I need to see the whole context of that video, please, because that's crazy.
I don't even know how to process that shit. Is she really blaming me for something that don't even exist? And I never said I was offended. I always said I understand where women are coming from. I just said it hurt my feelings to know that I get labeled as something that happens to me.
For sure, which is so valid. That's like really valid for him to be upset because like I always say this like, oh, that really hurt my feelings. But he also was like, yeah, saying blah, blah, blah didn't help, bro. He was disrespectful in his retelling of the story.
How many, you know what? But on the same hand, it's a double-edged sword. I understand that because...
Is that the WNBA behind him? I feel like he's really trying. Like, he's really got the whole setup for his daughter, you know? WNBA and Sailor Moon. And, like, a part of me thinks, like, fuck, that's so cute. Like, I do. A part of me thinks that's so cute. Like, he's really showing up for her. Get this man some help. Get this man some therapy. That's so cute that he's trying, but it's just, I've never seen someone try so hard. Yeah, the words and the tone are not aligning. The words, the tone, the room, the decor, that's what's fucking with me. Nothing is making sense. Who is this man? What bubble is he in? How do you have the WNBA? You know these women get misogyny thrown their way 24/7. How do you have all the, but then you're doing it yourself. That's what I'm saying. His aesthetic is so perfectly inviting. The way he talks, the words he uses, it's like such a turnoff. And I'm like, but like his aesthetic is so nice. Chess says, does he give neurodivergent to anyone else? Well, I didn't, girl, Sailor Moon and One Piece, trans, like, obviously I was thinking he's obviously neurodivergent, right? I gotta assume this is an autistic man or a ADHD man, right? He's definitely a neurodivergent, which is another layer of compassion that I have for him, where I want him to be like, girl, right? Like, obviously he's neurodivergent, but also like, this is what I'm saying. This is the problem with being a person in the world who really feels like they're trying so hard. Because you feel like you're trying so hard, and then the world labels you like the worst thing possible, simply because he feels like he exists as a man. I get that. How do we prevent this in people? For people, how do we prevent this whole circumstance, right? I'm devastated for his child self. I'm devastated for the dad he wants to be. I'm devastated for everybody, but I feel like, okay, we could do something with this. We could do something with this. Like, he could find a path to redemption, 100%. Okay, so therapy, 100%. Deconstructing language, taking bitch out of your vocabulary. You misuse it too much. You can't use it anymore. You're banned. Okay, bitch card revoked. Okay, next, not replying to the internet, taking down some of those videos for sure. Okay, and focusing on being a present and ever-loving father. Okay.
I'm a man. I just said it just made me feel sad and depressed in that moment. But to say you saw red flags after I shelled a part of myself and saying that I got SA when I was a child, you see that as a red flag? Like,
okay, I gotta say something. I have heard from people, especially women, that really do believe that if you were molested as a kid, you will go on to be a molester. That is not true. Listen to me when I say this. This is not true. You will be impacted by it. Okay? You might be anxiously attached, avoidant. You might have a problem with the relationships. You might not be able to get through school. You might be depressed or suicidal. You don't always and almost never become a sexual predator. Okay? That is not how it works, but it is a belief that the system has set up for victims to never get ahead, because first they victimize you and then they tell you you'll never get better. Okay? Chaz says some do, but it depends on the person, but then that doesn't matter. Habibis, listen. Of course, some people do. Some people become a child predator and they were never molested as a child. What does that mean? It means nothing. You can be a child predator who was never molested. So to say being molested makes you a predator is so reductive, it hurts victims. It's reductive, okay? I used to believe that that was true, and that's why I'm saying it's not true. When I was a conservative, I used to think that was true. It's not, but because we're products of our environment, it means that we have a tendency to not break those generational cycles, so we end up less healthy than we could be. But the healthiness manifests, or the unhealthiness manifests in so many different ways. Okay? Exactly. That's like saying anyone who survives DV goes on to be violent, or exactly. Like, so obviously boys who are raised by misogynistic and violent fathers can go on to mimic the behavior thinking it's normal, or can also be men who don't form good relationships with women and or other men and or non-binary people, or they can go on to be like the most amazing, statistically like amazing person ever. Still, the point is that we are not good parents because it guarantees anything. We are good parents to help bring down the possibility. We do not avoid abusing our children because we don't want them to be, we don't abuse our children because it's wrong. You raise your child well to help make the probability of them being healthier more. We want to raise the probability of them being healthier and lower the probability of them being not, right? Okay. So we that's what we want. So I think that the narrative is like, oh, your child turned out bad, you raised them wrong. Even if you raise your child right, but yet, obviously, most people are not great parents. Okay, I do hold the opinion and I stand by that opinion. I would not want a majority of my childhood for any child. There are parts of my childhood that were really, really good. When my bestie was here, because we grew up together, she was here last week. As you guys know, I took off for stream. And the last day she was here, we went through all of my photo albums of us as kids. And we were just laughing and like, we're on the couch, we're like laughing so not. We're like just looking at all of our childhood photo. I'm like, oh my God, remember, we're just, and the whole point is like that feeling of like hitting each other and being like laughing so hard you lose your breath. Like that's the part of my childhood I would wish for every child. Okay. But then we also talked about like, oh shit, remember this? And like, remember that we talked about all the bad shit. And I'm like, remember this? And that's the stuff that obviously we wouldn't wish for any kid. But that was my childhood. That was her childhood. And then we tried to be better moving forward. But even we will have flaws. Even we will, we talked a lot about breaking generational curses. And sometimes you can't even break it. I will die not having broke some of my bad habits or some of my maybe generational curses or whatever you want to say. Like I will die traumatized, but I maintain that I will not die unhealed, and that's okay. I don't consider myself an unhealed person. I consider myself traumatized, but healed. When you're traumatized and unhealed, ooh, girl, it's a battle. But you can't really erase your life. You can just learn from it and be kinder because of it. I think that's why I love anime, because no matter how fucked up and beat up everybody gets, somehow these characters still go on to be good people. I think that's the narrative I love about it the most, is like you will get beaten down, your whole planet will be destroyed, your family killed in front of you, and then somehow you still show up and you're a nice person. I think I really resonate with that idea. And I think I see it in Palestinians. I think I see it with my family. I think I see it around the world. All like whole communities of people targeted and beaten down, and somehow they still show up and they're still good community members. That's kind of beautiful. Chet says, can you do a video about building an identity outside of trauma? Yeah, I will write that down. I'll put it on my list. Thank you, Chet. Good suggestion. Let me put it on my list. Okay. Next video. Apologies to all the women I disrespected while trying to defend myself. Oh, promising.
I want to apologize to every woman that I called a bitch while doing this little back and forth thing. Women didn't agree with what I was saying and they was putting these false claims and false allegations and giving me these scenarios of making me to be a creep and whatnot, and I got real defensive about that, and I just went into defense because I'm like, they lying, and I just started calling women bitches, and like just because they said something don't make it right for me to call them a bitch. And when two fools are arguing or two fools are going back and forth with each other, you never know who the fool is. So I just want to remove myself from that situation. I don't want to look like a fool anymore, and I don't want those women looking like a fool anymore. And secondly, I also want to get on here and say every mother feelings is valid. I never disregarded their feelings. I understand that. I just have to understand, me being a single dad, my daughter will not get to experience certain things because I am a man and what happened with society with men. So I completely understand that. And also I want to put out and say, when it comes to the mugshot that they use, and I put that out there myself, I make jokes about dating outside my race, saying this what can happen and blah blah blah, and just so happened it did happen. Now this the only time I'm not going to disrespect the mother of my child right now. We was having a back and forth. She was trying to hit me. I restrained her from hitting me. She was trying to leave the house saying, oh my God, he hitting me. And I was just really holding her, trying to stop her from hitting me. And so when she ran out the house, I'm like, and the police came and whatnot, police knocked on the door, toom, toom, toom.
I told this story 1,000 times. They was like, hey, did you try to keep her from leaving? Yeah. And put your hands by. I'm like, hey, they was like, that's false imprisonment. They was like, these bruises on her arm. I'm like, I was trying to keep. They was like, so you put your hands on her? I'm like, yeah. They was like, and then they was like, and we gonna charge you with child endangerment. I'm like, wow, child. I'm like, I ain't even touched my daughter. And like, once again, they saying I ain't never been arrested. And they was like, yeah, when your daughter in the house, that's how it is. And that's the story. So I just want to touch those 3 things. I want to apologize to the women that I got on here called a bitch. I just want to say I do understand women feelings and understand like it's just certain things that a man can't do, and I always been for that, and I always understood that. And thirdly, if you're gonna use my mud shot right, please get the story right. If you want to do that much deep research, I talk about why I got arrested 24/7. And lastly, I just still want to apologize to every woman that I called a bitch on here. Just because I felt like they're disrespecting me don't mean I should disrespect them. So thank you for listening to me.
And also, I want to say thank you for the people that put off alternate solutions and trying to solve the problem and try to give me other alternatives to see what I can do so my daughter can experience those things, even with me being a single dad. So I really want to.
Okay, so again, I'm really trying not to be a Captain Save-A-Ho, but I'm like, my bro, it's like you getting up here and being like, I'm sorry to all the R words. I called the R word. I shouldn't have said you're an R word, even though because I know that word's, but like, sorry to all the R word. It's like, okay. He's just like not getting it. You know what I mean? He's not getting it. And I'm like, stop using the word. He just, okay. But it seemed, I can't tell. Am I being fucked with? It seems so genuine. Chat said it's like watching a newborn deer try to walk. It feels weirdly genuine. Where I'm like, okay, stop saying it. Let's start there. Okay, let's start there. Yes, chat says, girl, didn't realize you were live. Welcome back. Thank you. I'm happy to be back. I missed this. Okay, so I think, yeah, chat said he's stressing me out. I think it is genuine. I just think it's so misplaced. Like the road to hell is truly paved in good intentions. You know what I mean? I just think he has so many good intentions. And I'm just like, okay, oh no. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let me check.
I just want to apologize.
So this was 5 days ago, and this was also 5 days ago. Okay. Okay, two more videos. Someone is mentally wrong with these women. I think he meant something.
I don't think they doing this for views. I really think they believe this. Like, I think they want to put it in their head to believe the story so it can match their narrative. Like, they're plastering my face all over the internet, using me as a talking point for false narratives. Like, and there's something mentally wrong with y'all. Like, I never been on the other end of this, making up false claims, false allegations, false stories, putting false information out there. Like, I never been on the other end of this. And it makes me think how many good men were really brought down by the lies of crazy, vindictive women for no reason. And once again, that's another story that happened to me. I'm glad I didn't get... That's a story for another day. But once again, I'm a single dad. And then it comes out that my baby mama white. Once again, I talk about it all the time. So, all right, I'm a single dad.
Okay, so you remember how we had the theory he might be neurodivergent? Is this neurodivergent over-explaining, or is this clout chasing? Is he clout chasing, or is he neurodivergent over-explaining? Because I literally just want to be like, stop talking. Talk to a therapist. Stop talking.
Had a baby with a white woman. That's why you a single dad now. And once again, y'all act like black women can't be trifling. Not trying to uplift the white woman at all. But once again, we putting these narratives out here. All right, now I got the baby with the I have a child with a white baby with a white baby mom. Boom, that's out the way. Y'all
Y'all crucify me for that. All right, that's understand. That's y'all shit. Now, me having to be a single girl dad, I have to make ways for my daughter so she can feel comfortable in the world and get to experience the same things that other little girls can. But once again, me being a man, I completely understand I won't be able to do that. But now, why he won't look?
Well, hold on. So, okay, the defeatist language of like, she'll never be able to have a sleepover. Well, that's not true, but it could be true. And then also to the other dad's point, like not everyone had a sleepover, and also growing up with a mom that was very strict on sleepovers. I get it. I think, let's see. Oh, and by the way, why were we strict on sleepovers? This is the problem of growing up in a bubble where we think men are predators, and also growing up in a bubble that's homophobic and transphobic. Like, this is the problem. I grew up in a bubble that were like men are predators and protectors. So, like, why do feminists hate men? Why do they think they're all predators? Because you raised me to believe they were. Well, men aren't all predators. Okay, can men host sleepovers? No, you can't let a man host a sleepover. Why can a woman host a sleepover? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, you don't want men in women's bathrooms, whatever you think a man is, binary construct here, transphobes here. Okay? Because you think men are perverts. But the moment people say like, hey, fuck all men, you're like, oh, what do you mean fuck all men? What do you mean? Okay, so which one is it? Obviously, I do not believe being born a man or being a man has anything to do with you being a predator. But I do think under patriarchy, we normalize predatory behavior, hence my last podcast, which then turns what would have been a seemingly perfect, decently good man into a predator. And then he has to double down on his action because God forbid he admits like, holy fuck. This story recently with Roblox that's coming out, guys, I know a guy who used Roblox to get with a teenager. And I'm like, oh my God, you're the statistic. You're the guy on Roblox the cops keep warning everybody about. You're the guy. I'm like, who the fuck are these adults on Roblox? That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, how did this happen? This is a devastating realization for all of us to look at our family members, our cousins, our brothers, or whatever, to look at people and be like, you're the statistic. How do we prevent children from becoming that statistic? How do we prevent our children from growing up to be predators? How do we do this? How do we do this? We have to do something. And it's not, you know what I mean? It's not just porn or it's not just this. Guys, we're not educating our kids. Oh God. Chat says, my dad said he'd beat up a trans woman if she went into the bathroom with my sister or stepmom. And I said, wouldn't that make you the violent man in that scenario? And I broke his brain. That's what I'm saying. How is this protecting us by you being horribly violent? Sometimes I'll see these videos where it's like, do you love your sister the way these brothers love their sister? And it shows them like killing her rapist. How is this helpful? Now you're all going to prison. Great. Now 3 of my brothers have to go to prison. How does this help me? This isn't love. This is selfishness. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. How is this helping me? No, I would not think well of my brothers. I would go to jail and hit them over the head and be like, you're stupid. Why would you do this? This isn't protecting me. This is all for your ego. This has nothing to do with me. This is your fucking ego. Okay, back to this.
Little girls at his house and blah, blah, blah. No, I was just expressing how that's like my daughter won't get to experience that. So boom, I did that. Now I talked about me getting touched by a woman when I was younger. Nobody brought that up. Everybody overlooked that. I seen a few people say, oh, since you got touched by a woman, you're most likely to touch somebody else. Bitch, are y'all stupid, mental? What is wrong with y'all? And lastly, I don't even, what else to say lastly? Nothing. So
I come from a bubble where my mom blames molestation on everything. You're gay, were you molested? Oh, you cheated on your spouse, were you molested? Oh, you're abusive, were you molested? I come from a bubble. Yeah, where like my mom, of course she has the paranoia, her mother was married at 10. Of course she has the paranoia, she watched little girls get touched. Of course she has the paranoia, a priest tried to touch my mother when she was a little bit older, she wasn't a kid. A priest tried to corner my mother at a church. And she got away, she was lucky. Yeah, of course she thinks, of course my mom has never gone to therapy for all of this stuff. Of course. So of course, every time something happens, they go, were you molested? Because there's this belief, this magical belief that only molestation carries trauma. Because they don't understand that everything else we're doing carries trauma. Chat said, and she's still Catholic. And she's still Catholic. That's what I'm saying. We grew up in bubbles where our parents are not going to therapy. They're not getting educated. And so they're reductive with all of their beliefs. And then we suffer from it as kids. And then we have to be the ones to educate our parents, and they won't listen to us. And they go, it's this. Yeah, and that's the problem. Or what's worse is adults in my family. When I came out as gay, adults in my family, like extended family, people were reaching out, and uncles, aunties, cousins, like people were reaching out because I was like the first one to talk about it. And I was on the internet, I was a YouTuber. Anyways, a couple of adults, an adult particularly came to me and said, I understand what you're going through. I was molested. I was like, I'm coming out. I wasn't molested. And they were like, I was molested by a same-sex person. And I was like, and I remember just crying for them. Like I started crying because I'm very sensitive to these. And I'm crying and I'm like, I wasn't molested. I'm just coming out. And they were like, yes, but I understand what you're going through. And I'm like, no. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say to you, and I need you to hear me. When you really start digging up your family's history and you look at everybody in your life, we are fucked up. We are so fucked up. And I'm saying I really believe in our ability to get better. But we have to first realize we're not fucked up for the reasons we think we are. People were trying to be really reductive in my recent podcast. Like, oh, I know why men like teenagers. They're PDFs. That is so reductive. You're being so reductive. Oh, I know why men choose teenagers. They're immature. Maybe. Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, maybe they're PDF. Maybe they're immature. But guys, this is like preventable stuff. I have a theory that will never happen, by the way. But I have a theory, and this is how my brain works. If I know 90% of shit is preventable, then we should have better statistics. So that tells me, and I accept no outcome. Like I have let go of the attachment of outcome, but I'm just saying this is how my brain works. If that's preventable, then we should work on that. Okay? It's like climate change. Some people think it's inevitable. Maybe, but also are we speeding it up? So let's talk about it. It's like, I'm not willing to throw in the towel and just say like, it's going to be that way. But I also accept that all of the work I do might not matter, but I'm still going to fucking try. You know, I think some people are just like, they want to give up and they just want to be like, it's over. It's why Republicans are so frustrating, talking about trans and gay people and talking about like how this, you know, we have to protect the kids when it's literally the call's coming from inside the house. So when I say Republicans are more likely to be predatory, I mean people who embody Republican beliefs. If you embody actual progressive beliefs, you show up different in life. You can't show up like this. He has the merch. He's got the WNBA. He's got the trans flag, but he's not embodying progressive beliefs. He's not exhibiting a deep intersectional understanding of these problems. And so he comes off like this. So, you know, he might fly the flag, but he doesn't even know what it means, which is, you know, not that abnormal. I think that's pretty normal for most people, common, right? Okay, let's finish out this video and then I got one more.
How many, me being a good dad, a single dad, trying to let my daughter experience certain things, like I'm not, apparently she ain't gonna be able to get to experience that. Oh,
and I just want to say this. When I say most people are doing good enough, I mean like this, like, look, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Same with my parents. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. But let me just tell you this. It's not good enough. But it's good enough. It's not good enough. But it's good enough. But it's not good enough. But it's good enough. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay.
Send her to another woman's house. Make sure another one. How I know them women don't do the same thing that men do? Because not once have all the women talking points ever addressed me getting touched by a woman growing up. Mm-hmm. They just like, oh, fuck all that, nigga. You weird. I'm getting over that hurt from my past about me getting touched. Yes, I went to therapy for all that. But I just wanted to put that part out there too. Not once did a woman bring it up. We have women predators too. That was my main focus talking point also.
Okay. And one more video. Wait, chat says no, LOL. Like, no, you don't get it. I saw today that, oh, no, hold on. I saw today that apparently folks that have psychotic breaks most likely lean conservative in the space mind. Oh, really? I wonder about that. I wonder about all of it. Like, I just want to help people. I just want to help people prevent things by learning from why people end up the way they are. It's really difficult though, huh? Because it sounds like you're almost condoning the bad behavior, or it sounds like you're too harsh against it. But you know what I mean? Just says, do you mean like don't beat yourself up because it's good enough, but also don't stop growing because it's not good enough? Something like that, where like, I think if you look at the whole world, it's either you can have a belief that everything is so fucked up and everything is evil and people are the worst and humans shouldn't exist, or you believe everything is fine and no need to look under the blankets because everything is perfect and no need to lurk behind the curtain. And it's like, it's both, but it can be very overwhelming. So I'll give you an example. You guys know I put down a very hard boundary with my parents recently. And I said, when I approached my parents to have this very important conversation, I used a predator in the family to give them a chance to be on the right side of history instead of going politics. So obviously they're MAGA people and all that stuff. Okay, but that was too separate from our family and too hard for them to like pick the right side. So I said, okay, I'm going to approach my parents about a predator in the family, and it should be obvious what the right answer is. Like, I'm going to give them a slam dunk, okay, opportunity to be better people. They did not take that opportunity, and they doubled down on the bad. And I said, I love you. You are not blocked. I am not cutting off contact, but I am no longer going to reach out or talk to you until you can deconstruct and introspect on this situation in the family and understand that you are protecting a predator, and I cannot join you in that endeavor. I was raised by you to not protect predators, and so I will do what you taught me to do. Okay? You taught me to do this, so I will do it, even if you're not following what you taught me to do. Okay? And we left it at that. Okay, now, in my parents' mind, maybe they think to themselves, okay, we see it. Brittany's right. Wow, I'm going to talk to Brittany. She's right. He's a predator. We're going to do something about it. And we're not going to cut him off. We're going to get justice for the victims, and we're going to get him help because that's what we believe in. We're going to rehabilitate, okay? Because at the end of the day, we knew that person as a baby. We know that person through all of their years. We watched that person grow up. We're going to get them help. Okay. They come to me, Brittany, you were right. I saw it. Let's do it. And I said, great, love that. Okay. Then they go, we did it. Can we now talk all the time now? No. What do you mean no? I did what you said. Also, what about your transphobia, homophobia? What about your bigotry? What about voting for a rapist? What about the fact that you have multiple assault victims in your family and you voted for this man? Well, but I already did this thing and it was so hard and now you want me to do all those other things? What else do you want me to do? Well, let's talk about colorism in the family. Let's talk about our issues with people. Let's talk about the way you talk about our neighbors. For them, it's going to feel like never ending. And for me, it feels like we're just getting started, but there's an end goal. The problem is, in people's minds, if they get better in some way, they're like, okay, I'm done, right? And I'm like, well, when are people allowed to be good enough? At what point is it good enough? If at the end of the day, we should always be deconstructing. And without making a prescription, you still have to engage with people that like are behind. Like I was catching up, I catch up with my friends once, you guys know on Saturdays, my catch up with my friends day. And I was catching up with a friend and I realized they were a liberal. And I was like, oh no, they stopped growing. And I was like, oh, what do I do about this? You know, real homie. And I love my friends. But I sat there and I was like, uh-oh, what do I do here? And I think it will be fine. But I think the scary feeling is realizing that like, if you stay a liberal, then one day you will be a conservative. And that's going to make all of our conversations very uncomfortable. I'm very uncomfortable. And what does that mean for our future? Because the truth is, I'm not stopping, girl. I'm on a full train to deconstruction. I'm fully on law. I'm not getting off this train. You know what I mean? I'm not getting off. And that's what's difficult is you look at people and you're like, oh no. So then the question is, okay, when is it good enough just to keep the relationship? When is it good enough to just be with these people? When is it good enough just to be friends with your siblings? When is it good enough? I guess we'll see. But I love people and I want them to know they can be better. But I also don't want to see my family and friends get stuck in that. I always say, like, don't become a boomer. Don't be a boomer. And they're like, I'm not. I'm like, you are. You're talking shit on the youth. You're acting like you're better than them. Like, if you sit here and spend your whole life thinking you're better than young people, you are a boomer. So let's go. Let's update. Listen to young people. They have something to share with you. They're not always right, but they have insight. You got to listen to them. Just like when our parents wouldn't listen to us, it was very annoying because we ended up being right with a lot of things, you know? So, okay, then we have these conversations over and over again. The idea is that I don't think there is an objective purpose to the universe. And I think what you have to do is have a good relationship with your joy, and then you die. And for me, for some reason, my joy is in my community and helping people grow and giving people tools. And I seem to be pretty damn okay at explaining some things, you know? And I think more than that, I can learn from other people's mistakes and my own. But I think we can see the attempt of people to try to be better. And all we can do is encourage and facilitate that direction without, and here's the key part, doing the emotional labor ourselves. So this is what I've been trying to learn, because this is the hardest part for me, is not doing the emotional labor for them. Okay? I'm always open to people changing, but I'm not going to do your homework for you. You have to write your own essay. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult, but I can't write your essay for you. And no, you cannot use ChatGPT. You have to write it yourself, even if it takes you your whole life. Okay? But I'm rooting for you and I support you. Okay, one last video from our single dad.
Daddyism and my daddy do.
It says, one of the best single and active dads ever. My last video reacting to anyone and any negativity.
This online and on the internet because people are fucking like crazy, and people telling me, Mark Anthony, you don't gotta prove yourself to nobody, and they say I'm crashing out. Never been crashing out, but I'm just trying to show y'all how stupid and dumb. Like, come on, I got everything my daughter drew from me all the way up from fucking Head Start. How many people got their daughter shit every time, bro? Every time she draw me this shit from Head Start right here. She drew me that on a random piece of paper. I had this piece of paper for fucking 6 damn years. Get out my damn face. Boom, boom, boom. Come on, man. Stop fucking playing with me. That's my fucking, oh, come on. Happy Father's Day to you, daddy. Boom, boom. Come, man, stop playing with me. That's all she do. That's all. Come on, what is this? I don't know what the fuck that is. I got every last fucking artwork she ever did.
Okay, so I just want to stop him here. This is such a parent response. This is the universal parent response. Did you call me a bad parent? Look how good of a parent I am. This is literally my parents. Like, look at all these pictures. Look at all this stuff. What do you mean I was a bad parent? Look at all this stuff. And I was just like, Can I please criticize you without you referencing our Disneyland trip? Please? Well, what about this? What about all the stuff I did for you? Yeah, like that doesn't prove okay, you can be an amazing parent. You could be the best parent and I'm still going to have a complaint. I still have a complaint. You got to let me have a complaint. Because otherwise it implies that you're perfect and nobody is a perfect parent.
In her goddamn life. Come on, y'all got, okay. Boom, boom, boom. Anything she ever drew for a brother. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. This shit definitely came from Head Start. I don't even know what this is, but I kept it. Boom, boom, boom. That's the shit she drew That's the shit she drew for me right there. Boom. She drew that shit. Man, stop fucking playing with me. I'm one of the best motherfucking daddies in the goddamn world and blah, blah, blah. I'm way better than every last one.
Do you remember that episode of Seinfeld? Ugh, you remember that episode of Seinfeld with the blah, blah, blah girl? So she'd tell Jerry stories. She'd be like, blah, 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 blah. And he'd be like, oh, he's dating the blah, blah girl. And then Jerry's kind of excited by it. He's like, this is kind of exciting. She's the blah, blah, right? Was it Jerry or George? I think it was Jerry. Either way, she's the blah, blah girl. And they think maybe it's George. I don't know. But it's like the whole time he's thinking, this is great. I love this. This is the greatest thing ever. And then eventually it gets exhausting. And they're like, hey, can you actually tell me, like, how was your day? And she goes, oh, I walked down the street and I went to work and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no. What happened with the blah, blah, blah? I want to know. She goes, oh, you really want to know? And then I'm forgetting the details, but it's something like I robbed a store. It's like something, yada, yada. Yeah, yada, yada. The yada, yada. It's like, oh, it was something like egregious. Like I committed a crime. And it's like, okay, actually, I'm going to need to know the details of your day. So every time he says blah, 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 that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, what's happening in this blah, blah, blah though? What's the details of this blah, blah, blah?
Y'all bitch ass niggas. And what a women that's talking shit. The women.
I'm not going to play that the way this man throws around language is like...
That's talking shit, and you got a father in your life, and you got your child father, you married all that. I'm not talking to y'all, I'm not disrespecting y'all, but to all the bitches that are single mothers talking shit, don't be mad because that man out your child life and ain't doing shit for your child. Don't think that.
My Discord said, "Oh, he's in therapy." Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad. You know. Oh yeah, Discord said he seems very insecure. He is very insecure. That's the thing. Like, he is very insecure. You know what I mean? Like, he's a little bit like, if he was my friend, I'd be like, there is something funny about him. Like, there's something like I hate to say this word, but there's something like, I hate men. They're so toxic, but there's some kind of endearing. Like, there's a part of me that, but I know that's the toxicity in me. Guys, do not fall for this. That part of my brain that wants to give him a chance, that's not a good part of my brain. Because my brain is convinced that, like, this man will get better, but statistically, he will not. So I cannot give him the benefit of the doubt until he does it. Because, like, I don't owe it to this man. Okay? But I philosophically believe in it. I philosophically believe he can get better. But I have no reason to invest any hope in this singular man. Because statistically, he will not get better. You know what I mean? But, like, there is a part of my brain that's like, you know? Yeah, chat said I'm the same way I see my brother. Exactly. I see my brother. Like, I don't think, especially people who didn't grow up with, like, boys the way I did, it is so reminiscent of my brothers. Like, there's just something about the... And you just like, come on. Ugh. Yeah, for sure.
Shit out on me. I'm a good ass daddy. And don't that tell y'all something? If CPS gave me my daughter, dumbass people. And the internet's so super, they'll say I manipulated my child to do this. You are a great father. You are the reason I'm always happy. You are the one who cheers me up. I'm mad or...
I am not going to take away this little girl's relationship with her father, because at the end of the day, we all love our fathers. That's why I do get a little annoyed when people are like, I'm surprised you still love your parents. I'm like, I will slap you. You know, some of us have very strong bonds with our parents. That doesn't take away the fact that they're impacting us. Okay. I wrote the same shit to my parents growing up, and now you know all the stories I have about my parents. Okay. Listen to me when I say this. The daughter is probably way better off with him than anybody else, right? 100%. Like, I could imagine her having a better life in the system. So honestly, good enough. In my opinion, if she would have a better life in his home than in the system, good enough. Because she'll find her way the same way I found my way. It would have been more devastating for me to get CPS called on me and me taken away from my parents. It almost feels like my parents are my business, fuck off. It does feel that way. Like, get out of my business with my fucked up family. I can handle it, because my family wasn't the kind of fucked up where you got to take the kids away like that. But yet I would not wish that childhood on anyone. And I don't think it was good enough in that sense, in a bigger sense, in a mental health sense, right? So I definitely think we need to be careful about, like, understanding that I believe in rehabilitation and I would never take away this kid from him so far. But it's obviously not ideal, but it's good enough.
When I'm not in the mood, you the one who deals with my attitude. You the one who cares for me. You the one who takes me places when I ask you to. You the one I love. I ain't gonna lie, bro. That shit almost made me tear up. Like,
yeah.
And like, to know that I'm the face of whatever negativity that y'all have out there, but know that she don't know I'm like that, and y'all are just a bunch of fucking trolls and clout chasers on the internet. I'm one of the best motherfucking daddies in the world. You couldn't ask for a better motherfucking daddy than me. Maybe if you, I don't know, bro. But it is what it is, y'all.
He's so parent coded. He's child coded and parent coded. Like, obviously, in an ideal world, a mature and responsible father wouldn't get up and make these TikToks. But obviously, as well, him being like, I'm the best fucking daddy, is so parent coded. It is so dad coded to be like, you know what I mean? It's Ethan coded too. Is this not Ethan Klein? Ethan, is that you? Ethan, is this, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm glad you're a proud dad. I'm glad your daughter loves you. I'm glad all of that. But if you do not have the humility to understand that regardless of how well you're doing as a father, there are things to be deconstructed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Y'all gonna do what y'all do. Y'all gonna say what y'all say. Y'all gonna probably say I wrote that shit or something. Y'all gonna say I printed it because y'all are so fucking stupid. But good night, y'all. This is my last time talking about it because I know I'm a good dad. I promise you. This is my last video about it. I promise you. I'm done now.
There you go. Wait, chat said somebody said he was giving Ethan an hour ago. That's so funny. Ethan, you're a great dad. You know, I really feel you. Uh-oh, what is this? Oh, I forgot. Allegedly, hold on, let me double check this. Allegedly, people were also coming for him. Oh, he's got a pretty good following, like 300,000 followers. Allegedly, he has a spicy account, allegedly. And people were mad about it. Let me see if I can just double check that. Okay, it looks like he took down the link. So then people were sex shaming him. I don't know if it's true. I can't find a link so far in what I'm looking for. But people were coming for him saying like, oh, you have a spicy account. You can't be trusted. Oh, so now y'all are anti-sex work. Look, him being a sex worker, if he is, I don't care. Okay, like what does that have to do with anything? But people think it matters. People think like you can't be a sex worker and have children. Obviously, that's not true. That's bullshit. Okay? You can be a transphobe and have kids. You can be a little rapist and have kids, but you can't be a sex worker and have kids. What are we talking about out here? You know what I mean? Ridiculous. Okay? So anyways, I don't know if that's true, but I did hear some people talking about it. But all of this to say, I think, in my opinion, ultimately, the hardest part about being a person is you not only have to deconstruct yourself, but you have to deconstruct how you raise your kids while you're deconstructing yourself. Remember that our parents are just us on a different timeline. Our parents are just us, but with kids. Now imagine I'm 36. By 36, my mom had 7 kids. Something like that. I think 7 kids. You know? So they're just us on a different timeline. And I just want us to be really sensitive and understanding of that. And that really healed me in therapy. Realizing that my parents were me with kids just gave me like, I was so empathetic at that point. I was like, okay, they're just us on a different timeline. And as I'm getting better at deconstructing, they're also hopefully doing it. But yeah. Chad says my mom had all 5 of us by 22. 5 by 22? My mom had 3 by 30. Her first few kids were in her early 20s, and then she had me. There was a gap between me and my brother of 5 years. It was the one time my mom and dad were in Catholic, and they were using birth control. Ooh, scandalous. And then she had me, and then she, boom, popped them out every year until she was 40. She had her 10th kid at 40. So at 36, she probably had like 7, right? Something like that. But yeah, I have a lot of hope that every time somebody like this shows up on the internet, we can learn a little bit better. And I hope a dad group or somebody reaches out to him and helps him, because he seems to have good intentions, but hey, the road to hell is paved in good intentions. And he's not perfect. There's so much work to be done, but he does seem to love his kid. And you know what I mean? At the end of the day, great. Let's do something with that. You know, he seems to be trying, and I will always reward people who try. You know, Jessa, did she take Tylenol? Girl, you know she did. I'm waiting. I can't wait for all my siblings. I just talked to my little brother about work, and he's really struggling to like pick a career and like decide what he wants to do. And he's like, I can't work a regular job. I can't do it. And I was like, you don't have to work a regular job. You know, a lot of neurodivergent people don't work as well. But if you find something you really love, we can try to turn it into a job. Because that's what I did. I took something I really loved and I turned it into a job. And that's what I think is the best way for neurodivergent people to find work. Can we talk about it, you know, when you're ready? Because he's a good worker. He's able. He likes to work. It's not that he just doesn't want to do a mundane job. And I was like, I feel you. So let's do that. And that's the kind of preventative work we want to look for. If autistic people have a high rate of unaliving and homelessness and all this stuff, how do we prevent that? It's not by necessarily making them work 60 hours a week, but if you already like to work 60 hours a week, you just want to do it in something that's meaningful to you, let's find that meaning, right? Let's turn that thing into a job, just realistic, a realistic job. Okay. So it's like, I think for me moving forward, especially after taking this last 10 days off, what I come back to tell you guys, what I learned about myself these last 10 days is that I really believe in humans and in people. I believe in myself. I believe in you. But more than that, like I think we are just at the beginning, just at the start of what we really figure out we're capable of, what we can really accomplish as a species. And I'm excited to do it together. I'm excited to go through this next 20 years of it's going to be a pretty, I think, rough ride, but I think we'll be okay as long as we do the right thing, even if nobody else is doing it. As long as we remain good and kind and compassionate, it will make the bad times better. Not perfect, not fixed, but better. And it is going to be really rough for the next couple decades. I really think so. But I'm excited to do it with you because, I think I'm lucky in a sense to do it with you because I can really do it with you. We can do it together. And maybe that's the point. I know it sounds really hokey, but we would never have been able to do this together before. I would never have had autistic resources, neurodivergent resources, philosophical outlooks. If we were born at any other time, we would have been literally alone. And so I take a great amount of solace and gratitude in knowing that I can come to the internet and touch grass in an online way and say, like, you guys good? Are we good? It's rough, but we're doing okay, right? We're doing okay. Something like that. I'm really grateful that I'm alive right now. Yeah.